What's up, my fellow Toku nerds and fellow Scounder nerds? We got a lot to talk about this episode of Kamen Rider Zeztz. Also, just side note before I get started, yes, c.o.d.e Burn and the Orca Booster are now going to be part of this. Okay, so there's that. And second, I did post a couple of shorts going over my self-defense tournament that I was participating in. For the record, if anyone's wondering, I got second in escapes, I got second in best kicks on bag, first in kata, and third in sparring. Just for the record, just to get that out of the way, just in case you guys want to check it out. So, without further ado, let's get started with this episode, because, good lord, there's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. We pick up where we left off. Baku realizing that Zero is his father. There's that whole explanation. And then Zero kind of gives an explanation about the nightmares. Along with Nem's mother, the lady, which they kind of both tell it at the same time. It kind of flips between Zero and the lady. So every bad event that has happened in the past. I think Fowl's Plays also mentioned 9/11. So that's a deep cut in that regard. But every single bad event that happened in history was because of a nightmare that happened in a dream. Whenever civilization was born, along came the nightmares. From what I'm understanding, I hope. But overall, that's crazy to start off with. Because of those bad events, c.o.d.e was founded. Which makes sense. Zero's behalf is that because the nightmares kept happening, he wanted to try to prevent it from happening. So Zero is a good guy. He is a good guy. The way that it came about is up to interpretation, but I'll leave that up to you. But goddamn, I knew Zero wasn't going to be the final bad guy. I knew it. But still, the fact that he had to separate from his father, had to separate his personal life with work, it does hurt because every single bad dream that Zero had, Baku ended up being the fall guy for it, in a sense. Sucks. But yeah. That happened. For Nem, it was more for Nem it was just heartbreaking to know. Sorry, something was distracting me. I apologize. I think that, yeah, it was heartbreaking that for Nem because none of the bad things would happen if it wasn't for nightmares. But Baku's behalf, he wouldn't be who he is now if it wasn't for the nightmares. So there's ups and downs to that front, which I'm glad they touched upon. That whole conversation between Nazuka, Fujimi, and Odaka was really good. I'm kind of confused on what that was trying to imply. It didn't feel like it had any relevance to this story in particular. Other than building explodes, assumed it's a black case. It's nice that Odaka was part of it in a sense, but still, that's a little weird. Again, sorry. Sorry, I saw something. But in case, it was hard. What else? I'm glad that Baku and them had an interaction because of that. And I'm glad that Minami, after Baku wakes up, kind of confirms that if Zero did want to kill his friends, why wouldn't he just kill Minami on the spot after the first interaction? Which makes sense because he wanted to protect Baku. So the whole assassination situation, it wasn't meant for Baku and his friends. It was for Zero. That's why the interaction at the beginning of the last episode at the graveyard, being their last time, essentially, was a big deal for Zero because he knew he was trying to protect Baku, but at the same time, he knew what was going to happen to him because he couldn't protect the Baku premonition. That, that's a lot. That is honestly a lot. And then, after realizing that, also, yes, I knew there was something going on with 3 at the beginning of last episode. I completely forgot to mention that. My bad. And I knew that there was someone higher up than Zero working with c.o.d.e. Because... So, my biggest question is, what's higher than 0? -1? -10? Who is a higher up? Also, with that being the case, when number 3 was arresting 0, he wanted the c.o.d.e project all to himself. Which is interesting. I have a feeling it's going to tie into Lord 3 booster form, which was leaked, by the way. I'm not going to talk about it now. I'll rather wait until the show. I'll get more onto that particular note in a minute. Just give me a sec. But, and then, it's clever how Zero was able to send a message to Baku about what's going on using the Zeroider. And, yeah, I mean, he's clever. Can't argue that. Zero is clever. That was really cool. The fight sequence between Baku and Dark Zeztz was really fantastic. I do have a nitpick. With that particular fight scene, it's not Zeztz, the main Zeztz suit, Impact. That is the worst suit to have in like a warehouse, dusty environment. Because the suit is going to get dirty, and I hate seeing that. That is just... It drives me crazy. I can see why they want to do it, but still, having a really good suit like Zeztz, like this set, definitely leaves an impact on the suit when it comes to bow damage with the fight scenes, because it gets really dirty, and it just drives me crazy. But during this fight sequence, we finally got to see this. We finally saw the overbanish. I'm so happy about that. Happy and devastated because of the overfinish, the Zeztz driver is kaput. It is destroyed. That is... Okay. They waited this long to do the overbanish. It's in the noises of the belt. It takes them 32 episodes to figure out what to use the overbanish for. And the one thing they did is destroy the driver. You get it? It sounds like I'm complaining, because I've been waiting for this for a long time. But dang, it was such a good... oh my god, it was such a good kick. It is a freaking tornado kick, people. I love tornado kicks with... I want to learn it so bad. I wish I could have done that for my self-defense tournament. That's my one nitpick. I lost to a tornado kick. I regret that. Sorry. Rambling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But, yeah. After the fight sequence, it took a lot out of Baku, and then Zed's driver gets destroyed. Which, Jeeg is both thrilled but not thrilled, because now he's able to go after him. Which, yeah, that's going to happen. So, with that being said, there's a lot that has happened in this last week. We got some links about the final form for both Nox and Zeztz. I'll talk about those in its own episode. Although next episode is going to debut Zetz's final form. Honestly, can't wait to see that in action so I can actually get my thoughts about it. I don't like talking about leaks. But yeah. I'm both shocked, surprised, glad, and disappointed. Because we only saw Orderum like 2 times. Episode 30 and episode 31. Those are the only 2 episodes that we see Orderum. Which is about just as long as c.o.d.e Mark III. It's going to be another c.o.d.e Mark III situation. Which, I don't know how to feel about that. But it is what it is. Can't really change people's minds on that front. But, overall, I think this was just a really good episode. We got lore about the nightmares. The fight sequence with Zeztz and Dark Zeztz was really good. The whole interactions were fantastic. It was a really good episode, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next episode. So, with that being said, let me know what you think about this episode. Comment down below what your theories about. And make sure you keep an eye out for EastCon's comments. EastCon, take your time, no rush. You do a great job. Overall, this was really good. Also, please check out my self-defense tournament videos if you haven't got a chance to see them. I was really proud of that, regardless on the outcome. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take care.